Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Hey, I'm really excited about this episode. I talk with my good friend Scott Gross, who is currently serving in the Air Force, and he just came back from a trip from overseas on a deployment. So I wanted to get him on the podcast because I know he was doing some barbecuing and grilling over there. But more importantly, I wanted to talk to him about like his experience being in the Air Force and traveling quite a bit. He's been in for over a decade, so he's been all around the world. So I picked his brain about kind of how he got started into barbecue and grilling, and then also, kind of what he's learned along the way, and some of his experiences with barbecue in different places that he's been, not only here in the U.S., but across the globe. So really excited to talk to my buddy Scott on this episode. So I hope you find some value in it. I definitely learned a lot talking to him, things I didn't know about him and his journey, as well as some things about barbecue across across the world. So I hope you enjoy this one. I certainly did, talking with Scott. So again, if you like the podcast, if you're getting some inspiration, or you just enjoying the conversations, please go ahead and give us a rating and share it with your friends. We appreciate you all being here. So here you go. Here I'm talking with my buddy Scott. Oftentimes, life is demanding, stressful, and just won't stop. When needing to take a break, we like to light up the charcoal and crack open a cold one. The Grilling to Get Away podcast is an ongoing conversation about all things barbecue and grilling, from our backyard to yours. So if you sometimes don't know what the heck you're doing, if you like to learn, and if you don't take yourself too seriously, you're in the right spot. Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast, and I am really excited to be here with my buddy, my longtime buddy, Scott. Scott just came back from a deployment overseas, and I'm really excited to talk to you about it because I know that you were doing some barbecuing and grilling over there. So, Scott, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
No problem, man. I think other than my family, you probably know me the longest.
Yeah, I think so, man. We go back a long way, probably first grade, kindergarten, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a long journey.
Yeah, I grew up not too far away, and then, we went to school together, and then, military, I went one way, you went one way, and then you continued to serve.
You went the wrong way. I went the right way, I think.
Yeah, well, that's open to interpretation by some people. But no, you continue to serve in the Air Force. So why don't you just give people a little bit of background about, who you are, kind of what you're doing now in the Air Force, and then how long you've been kind of barbecuing and grilling.
Okay, yeah. So grilling, barbecuing in the Air Force. So I've been in the Air Force since 2002. I joined up a little bit differently than Greg did. I went the academic route, I guess you can say. And didn't go straight in as enlisted. So I joined the Air Force through the United States Air Force Academy, and went there for 5 years. The standard's 4 years, but I went 5 because I had to go to prep school out the gate. Because got in the Air Force Academy, did that for 4 years. Have some grilling stories from there. I think is maybe where we started my grilling journey, I think. And then after I graduated from the Air Force Academy, I got shipped off to Intel School down in San Angelo, Texas, which is West Texas. From there, I got the opportunity to serve out in Hawaii, do some grilling out in Hawaii, and then spent 3 years there, had a deployment to Iraq, for about 8 months at that time in my life, and then came back for a few months in Hawaii, then got stationed in Boston, Massachusetts for a little while. Spent 4 years in Boston, Massachusetts, got picked up for a different program, and went out to Monterey, California, hung out there for 2 years learning French and getting a master's degree at the Naval Postgraduate School out there. And then from there, I was supposed to actually go to the Congo for 3 years, but they only sent me to Africa for about 7 months to tour around the country or the continent, but multiple countries in the continent, and then went on to Germany and spent 3 years, just short of 3 years in Germany before COVID hit. And then came back to the United States, and now I'm in Ohio at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is in Dayton. So that's the short skinny of it. More details, Paul, if you have questions.
Yeah, no, man, you've been all over the place. So I have a lot of questions for you. I didn't know your barbecue grilling journey kind of started in Colorado as well. I mean, at the academy. So, why don't you talk a little bit about that, how you got started out there? Because I'm sure you were influenced by a lot of, the other cadets or the other people that you were kind of going through that process with, right?
Yeah. So the way we're broken up at the academy is into squadrons. So there's 40 squadrons out there, and we're kind of individual teams or units, that hang out of all classes, what we call 4 degrees, 3 degrees, 2 degrees, 1 degrees, which are basically freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. And there's a lot of training involved, and you build a real team mentality. And when we grilled, we would grill before the Air Force Academy football games, basically. So we get up real early in the morning, typically 4:30, 5 o'clock. A lot of our games were started at 10:30 a.m. And so we'd get out, we'd have to pull grills out all the way down to the football field. And if it was an early game, we weren't grilling meats. We were grilling like breakfast food. A lot of sausages, a lot of bacon, and obviously doing eggs over the grill, stuff like that. And each of the squadrons would have their own big roaster or whatever, and just grill up tons of food for the pregame tailgating type thing. So I tried to help out a lot with that. It was a lot of cold days. Everybody's wearing ski masks so the smokes wouldn't blow into our faces and stuff like that. But it was a good time because you're just serving the rest of the squadron. And if it was in the morning, you were doing breakfast food. If it was in the afternoons, we were flipping burgers mostly, and hot dogs and bratwursts for the rest of the cadets as we were preparing before we marched onto the stadium football field before the game.
Man, that's really interesting. I didn't know that because you have the Air Force Academy, the football team, and you grew up in Wisconsin. We're big tailgaters here, for Packers, Brewers, that kind of stuff. So how would you compare the two scenes? The Colorado Air Force Academy versus, let's say, like a good old like Packers tailgate.
Yeah, it's not as relaxed, being in the military formation beforehand, right? Because we go out there and we're in uniform, and then we're only grilling for a short period of time before we have to actually like get into formation and march out onto the field. So if you were grilling, though, you did get lucky as a upperclassman. You didn't have to march out onto the field or anything like that. You could actually stay back, clean up the grill and whatnot, and then go to the game, at your own convenience because you had that additional duty or whatever. So you kind of got you out of some of the mandatory formations if you got into the grilling side of things.
Yeah, man, it sounds like the place to be.
Yeah.
What kind of grills were you using? Were you using Weber's, gas? What were you doing?
No, they were just trailer grills, man. Just loaded up on the back of a trailer, and that was it. Just rolled it out there. A lot of them were handmade. I don't know where they came from, but they've been in the squadron. They've been in the squadron for years, and we just pulled them, with the truck down there and got us fired up.
Man, that's really interesting. No, that's awesome. Okay, well, let's go. Let's move on from there, man, because I got a lot of questions. So you've been to California, Hawaii, Texas, Colorado, Ohio. So in the U.S., I would imagine Texas probably had the best. But what from your experiences, kind of what were the different experiences with barbecue and grilling, in those different states and stations that you've been at?
Yeah, so I think when I got to Texas, that was when I first actually tasted what I guess would be called barbecue, right? Like real Texas barbecue, going to places like Rudy's, and some of those places out there. I didn't really know. It's just different flavor stuff that we had in Wisconsin growing up. Wisconsin, I think everybody just grows up on brats and burgers, and
The
that's what you
easy,
know.
yeah, the easy stuff.
Yeah, the easy stuff. And that's what you know is grilling. Then you get down to Texas and it's like, okay, these guys have been, grilling meat all day long, smoking it. And then you got the Texas toast on top of that. And then all the different types of barbecue sauces that, that they don't come up to Wisconsin very often. Um, and if they do, it's not typically Texas barbecue in Wisconsin. It's more of like something out of Nashville or something sweeter or something like
Yeah.
that. So it was really interesting going to Texas and starting to taste some of the different stuff out there.
What would you say, like, your first introduction to Texas barbecue? Do you remember that meal?
Yeah, I lived out in San Angelo, and I would drive to San Antonio ever so often, and there would be this place called Cooper's Barbecue halfway in a town called Llano or Llano is and Cooper's was it's an old Texas barbecue, and I like this place I stopped at, like George Bush stopped at, and like a whole bunch of famous people stopped at, and I'd stop over there on halfway point on my way between San Angelo and San Antonio, and it was just they'd serve you your barbecue, just whatever you wanted, pork butts or ribs or anything, just smothered in barbecue sauce, whatever their flavor of the day was, and then you'd have Texas toast on the side, but it just come on just a piece of paper, and you throw it all together on a piece of paper and you go to town. And there's
Nice.
pizza, cornbread and some other stuff, but it was just everything rolled out for you on some paper, and it was good. It was good.
Yeah, man, that sounds good. I mean, those kind of hole in the wall places where it's down and dirty is usually the best places to go.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so what are you rocking in your backyard right now? What do you got going on?
So since we move around a lot, like I've gone through a couple different grills, and I usually stick to the charcoal. Actually, I think
Yeah.
I've always stuck to the charcoal grills. In Germany, I had a charcoal grill. It was a Kingsford, but it was like Kingsford and a bunch of other brands that made the same exact grill, and it was like $99. But it had like you could move the coals up and down with a
Yeah.
crank, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that was about it. But it was really simple and easy to put together. And then after I was done with my tour, um, I just toss it because it was $100 and I'd use it for 3 years, or
Yeah.
I'd donate it to somebody if they wanted one. So I went through a couple of those different brands. Germany had a brand. It wasn't Kingsford, but it was the same exact grill
Yeah.
that Kingsford was selling in the U.S. But when I came to Ohio, um, we figured we'd be here for 3, 4 years. So I settled down and I invested in, I guess, a little bit more expensive grill, but not anything high dollar, but at Oklahoma Joe's
Yeah.
Smoker.
Yeah.
So, and it's been, it's been a workhorse for me. It's been doing a good job.
Good. Yeah. So offset, right? So
Yep.
um Oklahoma Joe's pretty good, pretty good. And yeah, I'd imagine like is there like a big underground of like if you're moving stations, like there you place like here I'm getting rid of this, like I'm getting rid of my grill, or if you go to like a new duty station, you're like looking for like, hey, who's getting rid of a grill that maybe moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of guys, it's actually a funny thing. It's really hard to ship a grill in household goods because
Mhm.
the moving companies don't take things that are dirty like that. So
Uh,
if you want your grill to be shipped, I mean, you've got to spend like a day cleaning that sucker,
oh,
and getting everything out of it. And otherwise,
all
the
the good
moving
stuff.
yeah, exactly. All the seasoning that you've worked so
Yeah.
hard to get. So a lot of times they won't ship your grill.
Mm.
So yeah, so when anytime anybody moves, usually there's moves 2 times, in the winter months and then in the summer are the two main moves for the Air Force. People are just giving stuff away. So
Uh,
if you're lucky and you're looking, it's really easy to find some of these Facebook groups for the Air Force base that you're stationed at to pick up a grill that
okay.
may have been just lightly used or
Yeah.
a little bit more salty.
Yeah, yeah, it's super interesting. Like we don't think about that, being on the civilian side, like, hey, you guys are moving every 2, 3 years, you get a good grill or something like that. You gotta pack it up and come with you. Or if they don't take it, you got to get rid of it, right? You got to give it away or sell it or something. And then you
Yeah.
got to find a new one when you get to the new spot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little tough for me to invest in, a
Yeah.
$1,000 grill or something like that right now in my
Mm,
career because I
yeah.
may have to give it up or something. And after 3 years,
Yeah.
it's really not worth it, right?
Man. Yeah.
So
No, that's a great point. It's a lot of stuff that we don't think about, being here, not having to worry about that. So that's a great point, man.
yeah,
Um, so when you were overseas, I know you just recently came back. You know what what was like the barbecue scene like on a deployment? Because I know it wasn't just a duty station. You were gone for a few months on an actual deployment. So what was that like? If you could talk about it. I know there's certain things you can't talk about.
yeah.
But what was it like? Barbecuing and grilling where you were.
Yeah. So I'll kind of start with my first deployment because I have some thoughts about that. But
Yeah, yeah,
the first deployment in Iraq was around 2010. I was a brand new lieutenant officer, and never been on deployment before. Didn't really know what to expect, and I got the opportunity to kind of jump around different bases in Iraq. And this was after uh, the initial. This was years after the initial, right? The one that you went in on, Greg, and like so we were well bedded down, right?
sure.
A bunch of different bases across different cities, that have been there for 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years, longer, 10 years actually, by 2010, almost 10 years, and so people had built, like grilling in the military is something that I kind of mentioned before brings us all together, and
Yeah.
it brings you home like
Hmm.
really fast, right? Because you got the chow hall there, and the chow hall does the best to feed you and keep you happy, and
Yeah.
typically you do a pretty good job. But on days like the 4th of July or Memorial Day weekend or Veterans Day, any of those days, and you're out deployed, you just want to be home, right?
Yeah.
Enjoying your family, looking at fireworks and stuff, and grilling. It takes you there really fast.
Mm.
So one of the priorities of a lot of units is just to set up some sort of grill situation outside the back of their squadrons or units or whatever you're attached to.
Mhm.
And the one I was attached to in Iraq it was really nice. They actually had built like a deck and then like an overhang, and then somebody had brought in a grill at some point, and usually they're always charcoal because that's the easiest thing to get over there, or wood or something like that, whatever they can find on the local economy that's easy to get or shipped in or something like that through a unit. And everybody's an expert when they're out there, so everybody wants to kind of show their stuff when they hit the grill. So like, oh yeah, I do a little bit of grilling, and they're like, oh, and
Yeah.
their family send them seasonings and
Yeah.
like sauces or whatever, and everybody wants to have at it. So it's really a good time. People bring you either find meat on the local economy, not so much in Iraq, or you get meat from the chow hall. They might have some stuff that you can either acquire from them. It just depends where you are. But in Iraq, I think most of the meat came from the chow hall, but we just made it better,
Yeah.
with whatever spices we had or sauces we had, and just cooked it better. Just a little bit more tender loving care to that stuff. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, like the chow halls do great, but nothing beats, kind of your own open fire grilling going on, especially overseas, man, when you've been kind of, out on operations, doing other things, eating MREs too, So it's
yeah.
that's awesome that you guys got a chance to do that.
Yeah, so in Iraq, that was the deal. Like you just found the best unit that had the best grill, and then you'd all hang out and just grill up. Whoever was, decided they wanted to grill that day and had something special that they wanted to share with the rest of the guys. You go and have it. And then here, my last deployment in Jordan, it was kind of nice because the location I was at is brand new, and we had been through this before. Like we've been deployed in the Middle East for a long time now, so the base that was built, really well, and it actually came with when they built it and contracted to have it built. It came with 2 propane grills outside, and then I think a couple guys bought a smoker that they added to it, And then somebody brought in, well, I think halfway while I was there, an Oklahoma Joe, just like the one I have, and brought that in. And almost every Friday, somebody would be out there on either the smoker or the Oklahoma Joe. They hardly use the gas grills. I don't know if it was hard to get the propane from Jordan, or if it was just everybody preferred smoking and charcoal.
Yeah.
But it was good because we had a Hawaiian out there that would, do some Hawaiian style grilling, some of the sweeter teriyaki stuff. And then we'd have, a guy that really loved doing chicken wings, and he would do chicken wings his own way. So it was good. And we had short ribs, tons of stuff. But, and then, we also had the opportunity, I was out there over the 4th of July, and you were kind enough to send us out, a whole bunch of spices that we used for that event, which was really cool because 4th of July was by far the biggest grilling session I think we had out there. And there was just a ton of meat. We got local meat. And I think we were even able to get some pork, which was huge because in the Middle East, pork is non-existent, right?
Right.
And some guys were able to get their hands on some pork. I don't know how, but
you don't ask questions, you just eat it, right?
Yeah, exactly. We were able to add some of that Burn Pit BBQ to it. So it was good, man. Like it was, we really appreciated that. And it was a good time.
What so in Jordan there, like what is like the going like meat there? Is it like what lamb, beef?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. If you're, if shawarma, it's lamb, kind of thing, or they actually had some really good steakhouses. So beef was really good. And I got a chance to go down. Yeah, I got to get a chance to go down to downtown Amman and go to a steakhouse down there that would, like put Outback, to shame. Like this place was good. And at the end of the day, I think I spent like $100 for a Wagyu steak or something. Like it was good. I was really happy at the end of that meal. I wasn't sad about the amount of money I spent or anything like that because they don't really get to spend money overseas anyway.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to go downtown, big city like Amman, and go get some good steak, and it was. So
man, you're just dropping knowledge all over the place. So good steakhouses in downtown, Amman, Jordan. So if anybody listening ever gets down there, go check out the steakhouses.
And the funny thing too, Greg, you mentioned it. There's good barbecue joints in Amman. Like there's 2 or 3 of them, and we met this guy. Oh man, I can't remember the name of the barbecue joint, but we went to a barbecue joint in Amman, and he was trained in Texas. So like he went, the United States to live. Obviously there's a large diaspora in the U.S. of Jordanians. Trained in Texas. I think he went to college in Texas and then came back to Amman and opened up a Texas barbecue. And his barbecue was great. It was all beef and everything, but it was phenomenal. Sauces probably could have used some work, but the barbecue
ship him
itself,
some stuff.
we had ribs. And, it was fall off the bone. It was great. Melted in your mouth. Like he did a phenomenal job. So if you want good barbecue, and I'd say it's on par with some U.S. barbecues, if not better than a lot. Go to Amman, Jordan.
My bucket list. That's one of the barbecue destinations. Amman now. I'll put that on the bottom there.
There you
go. So I'm also interested because you mentioned that you had a buddy from Hawaii that was there with you. Hawaii, at least from what I understand, is very heavily pork. And then also, like you said, like the sweet, kind of style there. In your time in Hawaii, what was kind of the scene like there for you?
Yeah, Hawaii. So the Hawaiians are really interesting, right? So they live family style. So the whole family tries to live up in the same house, right? You typically a 2-3 story house, and you got grandma and grandpa on the bottom floor. The younger, and as you get younger, you go up in floors, basically.
Okay.
And they all share kind of incomes. Everybody works to support the family, and then on the weekend, starting on Friday, which they call Pauhana, you go out to the beach and you barbecue. And typically, from what I experienced, it was pig, right? It's pork, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure all the details because I never was involved in one, but there's a process of doing pork where they're actually putting it underneath the sand all the way down, burying the pig, and then putting like palm leaves over the top of it and
Yeah.
letting the pork roast under the palm leaves. That's for, I think, special occasions. But yeah, I mean, Hawaiians love to barbecue, and they're doing it on
Yeah.
the beach every weekend. They're relaxing. They're not working. They're
Mm,
they're just enjoying their,
yeah.
the barbecue lifestyle and the ocean and everything that's there right for them. So
Wow.
it was a really neat experience to see that. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, there's all the fresh fish. So you got both. You got the barbecue side of thing, and then you got the uncooked meats, which are,
Mhm.
the sushis and things like that are just phenomenal there. So
Yeah.
it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, no, it's that's super interesting. Like one of my buddies here, he served in the Navy. He was stationed out in Hawaii for a while, but he got trained in like a restaurant out there. He's a butcher here in Wisconsin, but like he creates his own meats and like flavors and stuff. And a lot of his inspiration comes from his time in Hawaii, working in like some of the restaurants out there. So it's awesome, like to bring some of that stuff back here to the Midwest because we don't get a lot of that.
Yeah.
But again, another guy who served in the military, he used his time to really kind of understand the culture and the flavors of where he was at and bring it back here to the Midwest. So it sounds like you're doing a little bit of that too, with all the places that you're going to. So if you have like now that you're back home and if you have the perfect day and you have the opportunity to bust out the smoker or the grill, what's typically your go-to meal?
Yeah, so in my family, it's tough right now, right? Because I've got three kids, 5 and under, so 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and then I got a wife that eats salmon and chicken, and that's about it. So I got to cook what the other people eat, otherwise I got too much meat typically.
Yeah,
So
it's a good
uh,
point.
I'm cooking a lot of chicken or grilling some salmon up. But my favorite meal to put on the grill are pork ribs, and I'll do
Okay.
that. Right. So I'll grill pork ribs, and my sons will eat those, and they'll devour them. So pork ribs is usually my go-to when we're eating more of a not chicken or salmon, um, but or trout because I like to catch trout and grill up some trout. But yeah, pork ribs is what I'm smoking.
Okay. And so for the people that have never been on a base or lived near a base, like you're going out to the local supermarket just like everybody else, right? You don't have, you're not living on base and go to a commissary or anything like that.
Yeah, so I could do either or. Whoever got the best prices on,
Yeah.
commissary sometimes has some good prices. Um, I've gotten some bad meat from the commissary before, so I stay away from it sometimes. But I'll usually just go on the local market, or here in Ohio, there's a good butcher down the road, and I'll hit
Yeah.
him up every now and then, support the local economy there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very nice.
from the local butcher.
Yeah. No, that's great. And how are you usually cooking the salmon for the wife or is she doing it? Like how are you doing that? You ever smoke it, put it on the grill?
Yeah, so I'll use some of the cedar wood planks sometimes to flavor the salmon. And she's pretty simple. She's a salt and pepper kind of girl. So
Okay.
we'll put some ground pounder on it, and
Oh,
take
very
care of
nice.
that really fast.
Yeah.
And sometimes she goes for lemon pepper, especially when I'm doing the trout, lemon pepper, butter, and some ground pounder now. Because whenever I do
Okay.
salt and pepper now, I'll use ground pounder, man. I love that stuff. I'm not
Oh,
trying to
thank
push
you.
it. I won't push
Yeah,
her
I know.
stuff. But
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's really simple. It's already mixed together for me, and it
Yeah.
gets the flavor perfect. So it's good.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the plug. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not
Um,
intended, but it's what I
no,
use.
I appreciate that. No, that's great. That's great. So we do have like a lot of first time or new barbecuers and grillers that listen to the podcast or watch the podcast. So like if you could go back to your days at, the academy, what advice would you give to young Scott, as far as barbecuing and grilling that you wish you would have known back then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best advice I can give is just learn as you go and listen to other people,
Okay.
because I'm a fly fisherman, but I'm not really good at it, and I look at it as like a lifetime sport, right?
Yeah.
And grilling's the same thing for me. It's a lifetime sport, right? Where I'm at today is where I'm at, and I'm just going to learn from people as I go, try different things, not be afraid to try different things. I'll obviously stick to the things I know I like, and I think I've, got down pretty good on flavor.
Yeah.
But every time I go out there, I try to try something different, or something that somebody, told me about, or use some of the tips and tricks that you guys post, or other views that, or areas that I look on for grilling, just to see like, hey, this sounds good. Let me try it out and see if I fail, or maybe I'll hit it up right and I might not like it, or I like it, So really, I think it's just, keep an open mind and, listen to other people around you. And if you like something that somebody's grilling at a different place, ask them how they did it and, figure it out. Right. And, go from there. But, with grills and everything nowadays, it's just, to me, it's an art. You got to figure out, the temperature, keep the with Oklahoma Joe, especially keep the temperature at the right, at the right, spot, and just trial and error with the meats that you get.
Yeah, man. No, I love it. Just, keep an open mind. It's a lifelong journey. It's not just like, hey, if I can't figure this thing out within, the first few cooks, I'm going to scrap it. No, it's like, it's a continual process and we'll always get better. No matter how long you've been doing it. So no, that's great advice. And then the last question I'll ask, like, what's one piece of equipment like you can't live without, aside from the smoker and the grill? What's one piece of grilling or smoking equipment that you have to have, that if somebody doesn't have, you'd recommend they go buy it?
I would say the little thermometer, man, like the electronic thermometer. Like I started using one of those a few years back, and I use it for everything now. Like, because I can gauge kind of how fast the meat's going to go heat up, or what it's at when I got to take it off the grill to let it rest or something like that. Before I was kind of cutting into the meat, seeing if it was red enough or whatever,
Yeah.
And you got to get one, and you don't have to spend a ton of money on one. Amazon's got one that's got like 30,000 reviews or something, 5 stars. It's really good, and it's like $15 or something. And they've got other ones that cost like $100. I mean, I haven't tried any of them. I have a couple buddies that have them that say they're great, but the one I have, I think is fine, and it gets the job done. So I think you need to have one of those to level up your game, or at least that's what I did.
Sure. Yeah, so a good, reliable thermometer is key, and that's a great tip, and I think a lot of people have said that too. Like, hey, it's a game changer once you get a good thermometer. Like, you can really up your game a little bit. So, hey, Scott, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. I learned a lot just from you kind of talking through your experiences, which is awesome. Like, I didn't know about Amon Jordan having a huge steakhouse, scene or barbecue scene. So that was great, for me. So I learned just as much. So I appreciate you jumping on, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, and best of luck with Burn Pit BBQ.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Take care.
Cheers. Well, there you have it. I definitely learned a lot talking with Scott on this episode. I learned about like how he got started. I didn't know that, grilling and barbecuing was a big part of his time at the Air Force Academy before football games out there. And I also didn't really know about the barbecue scene in Jordan over there in the Middle East, where Scott was just at and just came back from. So, if you're about traveling and going checking out some barbecue, maybe you go travel out to the Middle East and see what kind of barbecue joints they got out that way. But super interesting conversation with Scott here. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you did, please go ahead and share the episode with your friends. Leave us a review so other people can find us. But yeah, I just appreciate y'all listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.